Yes, one Zen roll just came on.
So Jerry, I have a confession.
Yes.
I've not yet, this is the first time I've seen Professor Pulford's University.
Oh yeah, good. Well,
It's great.
thank God you're getting to see it. It changed my life. I met Frank Oppenheimer in the summer of '76, and he said you should be in San Francisco, and he said you should be an artist in residence here, and he wanted 2 of those prints, and then that fall, Alphonse Schilling showed a video he had made using the Pulfric effect, and all of a sudden I got the idea for this. I proposed it in December, and then the next summer, '77, I was an artist in residence there. I built a room kind of like this, but except more of a permanent, and it just changed my life. I'll tell you.
One thing I want to ask you is when you showed it, like when you had it at the Exploratorium, right?
Yeah.
And didn't you also have it at Queen's Museum?
At the museum, at the New York Hall of Science.
Hall of Science. So then, when you
Mechanism. I'm into showing mechanism, and I've devised over the years ways of showing the mechanism more and less.
Yeah.
You know, or like to emphasize what I wanted people to see, but also to reveal mechanism.
It's so great, and it's just so funny to me because I've seen your erector sets in your studio.
You've seen the red boxes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this. I've seen the set.
This was up for 28 years at the Exploratorium, and when they hit a space crunch, I had them send it back, and I think Jose is dealing with some little problem on it.
Is the component of focus. That's very, very much a part of this. I always, having it be
you mean whether it's sharp or blurred?
I would say it's more dominant even without this, the three-dimensionality of a sharp focused, a medium focused, and a blurry creates dimension without even introducing Pulfric effect. And I know that's part of, in fact, that's been part of my soapbox speech, that's part of what replaced stereo, I think, in popular imagery. Depth of focus, having something sharp in the foreground, blurry in the background.
Yes.
That tells you that gives that three-dimensional cue.
Now, sometimes,
but I didn't know that this was part of your installation. And
I have different things. See, you could ask, what's the size of these objects in reality, and what is the size of the objects in the shadows? That differs. And then there's also perspective. See, in one direction, the airplane ride has correct perspective. When you put the lens on your right eye, depth overrides perspective, and the planes, when they're further away, are bigger, which is insane. And I think of that as a bigger factor than the focus part. And I use a bulb with this very, very tiny filament. And so that I get the sharpest possible shadow. But it's interesting that it's not perfectly sharp.
Wait, which is not? I mean,
Well, I find particularly
well,
interesting.
I've perceived it. Yeah, yeah.
And it shows you, and this is one of the principles of the Exploratorium, how different people discover different things. There is a movie, a 1-hour Nova program about the Exploratorium called Palace of Delights that is a great piece of filmmaking. And in it, Frank Oppenheimer talks about how
rotation. You know, it's going counterclockwise when I put it on my right eye.
Is on one of the directions, and then very often it will spontaneously shift to the other direction. But if you have, but you know, if binocular vision tells you which way it's turning, then that does it.
In the other direction, and then I blink, and then I look again, and it's
Well, watch your glasses there.
Yeah, sorry.
so sorry. Are you okay?
Here's the trick. There's the shadows on the wall. You put the filter in front of one of your eyes. You look with both eyes. Both eyes are open, but you put a filter over one eye. And then you switch the filter to the other eye. And just look and see what you get. And if you have no filter in front of your face, it still turns in one direction or the other, but your mind just decides which direction it's turning. But when you put the filter over one eye, it decisively tells you which way it's turning.
Oh, wow. And why is my left eye making it larger than my right eye?
Well, there's a lot of different things going on. There's perspective happening, and with the airplane ride, with the airplanes, when you look with the filter on your right eye, you get a beautiful 3D effect, and it's turning that way. But the perspective is weird because the airplane that is near you is smaller than the airplane that's further away. But your mind accepts that. You know, it's a lot. Sometimes people don't even notice that. It's, in order to not have the perspective, the distance between the light source and the sculpture would have to approach infinity. And it's fairly close. So there's all kinds of things happening with perspective. We were just having a conversation about how you doing? Good.
Very nice, yeah. I have that same antenna on my roof.
I bet.
I do.
Yeah.
There's a long story about you doing that. You probably don't even know.
What?
You made a copy. That antenna? You made a copy of a thing called a Paraclips antenna, which was...
Antenna in the video.
how strange the world is. I love that.
The red-green glasses, and then though that corner is for red-blue glasses, and there's red-blue glasses
Perfect.
over there, and those are lenticulars, and they don't require
They just require
right
2 lenticulars.
2 eyes.
2 lenses, right, exactly.
Yes, 2 eyes. Cool.
This is great. Now this will officially open.
That has an official opening next week on Friday and Saturday.
De-stove myself. I had to ride my motorcycle in today, so it's a
Yeah, Max, but there was some tech issues because they're this lenticular screen which is decent. It's old and it's 7 years old, and but it's pretty good. And then this lenticular, in many ways, technically is best. This is also film, but nobody does this. I mean, a beautiful enlarger was built to do this, and the company went out of business years ago or moved to the Southwest. I don't know what's with them, but so I have this transparency, and it's cool. But
They're watching your show and your video, Steps of Stones.
the Stones are going to be on here, and there was a little tech glitch with the audio, and there's a technician going to solve it, and so the Stones videos will be up here soon. That is a slideshow of my photography over the years, and it's a great slideshow. It's a great 3D slideshow.
This? I love this.
Oh, this is the best 3D.
I love
Yeah,
this stuff.
and you have to.
You?
Yeah, it's all me, and you take one filter, take a filter like that, and you hold it in front of one eye, but you look with both eyes, and then you change it to the other eye. Yeah.
I love the Japan slides. Oh my
The
god.
Japan slides are my best.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just like look at them and then
Did it from the original slides, and the guy who has a plaid shirt right here was the projectionist, and it was real work. And then when each slide came up, he'd have to focus each eye separately and adjust, and your eyes are in misery while you're waiting. With this, it's set up once, and it's digitally perfect. And this whole show is sort of everything is partly digital and partly pre-digital, and there's a mixture of those things, Yeah.
it was really stunning. Really amazing. Stare at them longer.
You know what?
I know you.
It's a question of how long can you make the show.
I know.
When I gave that show 2 years ago with the Japan slides, it was part of an evening of other stuff, so it was in a performance-like setup at the tank down below Canal, and there was a request to play it again, and we did. We took the whole thing through a second time.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times in a downtown performance art would people ask for play the show again? I mean, or it's like saying to a band, would you play that song again? It's so beautiful. I mean, it was a fabulous response.
There's just so much to take in at
Yeah.
one time or two times.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wonderful.
I have to run along.
Okay, well,
See you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
I'll see you in 2 weeks. Yeah, for the class. That's great. Who's from Ozone Park, and her mother was about the same age as those people. And we were going to get together and ask her mother if she knew.
Why don't you do an exhibition of that in something that you take down to Ozone Park?
It would be cool. Bring that to Ozone. That's brilliant.
Yeah, which I know.
That is brilliant.
all over-
Yes.
Yeah, and they love it. Everybody would enter in all these places.
Yes.
I live in the place that they first started, though. They're all over the world now. And so we just want to check out. See if
that
there's a
would
scene
be
center.
so cool.
And they'll have, because these are the people you want to reach, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Wow.
yeah, that would be a good thing to do. And then you probably get the media and press, and maybe somebody else might discover. You're in search. Oh, right.
So the first one is Angie. The second is Betty.
With no names on them.
The
when
third
you
is
found
Connie.
them?
No names. They were just. He's on the case. You bet.
What's he doing?
My Rolling Stones videos are on there, but and then I shot video of that, showed it to Mick Jagger, and then I got the job of making the Stones videos. And this is the first time that the Shadow Room and the Stones videos will be together.
And how far back, what year was this?
When I first did this,
Yeah.
in 77,
And the
I was in the Stones video. I made the demo in 89, and then the video was completed in 1990.
Really?
So this was broadcast in 1990.
And this is Pulfrich?
This is Pulfric using the same thing.
This is what? What did you ask?
Pulfric. There was
What's
a
your language?
Don't say that.
there was a German optical physicist named Carl Pulfric who discovered the principles behind both of these being 3D.
Now, what's so special about the principle behind this one?
Well,
They're 3D looking through this?
yeah, you have to, okay, listen, you have to look with both eyes, but put the filter over one eye, and then move the filter to your other eye. But you have to look with both eyes, but put the filter over just one eye.
And it goes 3D.
And the shadow becomes 3D, and then you can switch the filter to your other eye. And that's called the Pulfric effect, is the reason. The filter induces a time delay.
A time delay.
Yes, in seeing.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Just because you have to interpret it in your mind?
It takes longer for enough photons to reach your.
Because it's not the glass really, it's just the...
It's a neutral density filter.
Right.
It's just reducing the light level.
And that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. This is a beautiful way to see it. And soon you'll see it in the video.
You know, have you ever looked at...
I took an art class, and I wasn't too interested, but we got an assignment to do a mobile. And I did a mobile like Calder's, and I got an A+ and got the art award, and someone...
That's it.
There it is. Oh my God, there's the Stones videos playing. So you can either put this in front of your right eye to view this, or you can put on the official Rolling Stones glasses.
Have you heard about this before? Will these work?
What? No, that won't work. No, you have the wrong, those glasses will not work. You need those glasses. Oh, but it won't make any difference.
Yeah. Oh, how about this one?
The other one works.
The other one works. I hope you're enjoying this. This is compliments of what's your name again?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yes. Here, let me put these, so there you can watch the Stones. You put these back. Okay, the Stones videos are working now.
What do you call these things?
This is a single image random dot stereogram.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I did a whole bunch of them.
Posters and books on this stuff, and now you don't see it anymore.
That's right. It was a big fad, and I made these
like
for
this,
books.
and it looks,
That's right.
and then
Yes.
some people just can never see it.
Yeah. I've thought of doing this process like that, but for lenticular. See, I could do, you have to use the blue glasses. Thank you. Oh, cool. Yes, and then on these you can reverse the glasses. Reverse the glasses so it'll go in, yes. Yeah.
But you need to like, even with some of the anaglyphs, you kind of like, you need your eyes to go a little
You
lazy.
need to let it happen.
Yeah, which that's what I like. I like when it's like you discover it.
Yes.
I tell you, I have a bathroom in my house that's got these weird little tiny mosaic tiles that are blue and white. And if I let my eyes go lazy, they just like...
Yes, they can do that.
The depth just comes out.
They call that the wallpaper effect.
So, I don't know. Your eyes,
yeah. So, Rob, this is Martine. Rob owned for the...
you know, I've got those hard hot spots in my place.
That's a mistake for lenticular.
I know, you see this hard reflection.
See, we have these for this, but the fluorescence...
You got the black on that one, this white one lines up with the ceiling.
Yes. Yes.
So this is gallery space.
And see, you said the right thing.
No, I know what you're doing.
Jasmine. Rob owns the company that printed those, and he's liking the lighting, and he's loving these things, and he's saying, yeah, and the white one blends with the ceiling, and the black one covers that.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Because Jasmine worked on those.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That was your idea?
No, my idea.
No, we have these in my office, and we light them at these little hot spots, and Jerry came over and said, you gotta do something, you know what? He just moved it, but you gotta put it here, and I'm like, I've got these little spotlights from across the room hitting them, and they're like, I gotta think of something like that.
Rob, I want you to meet Jose.
I love the motive of the sun and that orange light that comes through all of them, and you've almost got this sort of...
Oh, the Japanese series. That's called One Zen Roll.
Wow.
That's my best photography. And the appropriate computer. But the other thing that made it happen was they hired Jose as a systems administrator, for the computer systems, but he latched on to being the 3D tech because I go in and teach. I talk.
Stressed and probably to solve.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, hello.
Yes.
Now you have a picture of a holographer, Martina. Yes, Martina and Jerry. Fantastic. Carlton Drive.
Brought in and they're very, very excited and they have questions.
Oh, these are the TechServe guys?
Well, they were from the TechServe presentation, yes.
Oh, from your TechServe presentation.
Yeah,
I get it.
I
Yes.
brought them over.
Oh, good.
You guys, this is Jerry Marks. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Pleasure. A pleasure. Yes. Hi. Good to meet you. Hey. So, yeah.
He was asking about this one, Dan.
Yeah, you guys ask away.
Okay.
No, this is really cool. I mean, there's...
Yes. People love this. And this is something called a random dot stereogram.
Okay.
And the amazing thing is that I made that in the mid-1970s without computer, before computers. And I made it photomechanically. It took almost 2 months of work to create that photomechanically. And the random dot stereo pattern is the grain of Tri-X film. So everything you're seeing there is the grain of Tri-X film. And to show you how things have changed, that I made in the mid-1970s. Then 1990, the world changed. Adobe Photoshop came out.
Okay.
I got it right at the beginning.
Right.
I've been I'm like a guru of it from the start. And I made that random dot stereogram in Adobe Photoshop in an hour.
Big difference.
Big difference. Yes.
We were watching them do the presentation about 3D, and I was looking at Photoshop in 3D, and I was trying to put a picture of my grandmother at the thing and do it in 3D.
Did you see the slideshow in here?
No, I'm going to go check that out.
Oh, you have to check the slideshow. And
I love.
in that slideshow, that setup, I mean, we have it set up as a continuous slideshow right now, polarizing 3D.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. That's why it's different.
Those are intended for red-blue glasses,
right.
and this is for the red-green glasses.
Right.
The red-green is older and kind of nicer, but it's no longer practical to do. It has to be custom printed.
Oh, okay.
The green is a special green pigment that has to be specially custom printed. And today, you can, that is an iris print. It's in effect an inkjet. It's a super quality inkjet print. Those are, that's from Babu color. This red blue is what you can get printed now. And computer screens are suitable for red blue.
Yeah.
So the red green, this is the last red green I did, and this is 1992. And if a client wanted red greens very, very much, I would have to find a custom printer to work with. But the red-green gives you greater 3D clarity. They each have their advantages. I photographed this with a wide-lux camera. A wide-lux is a panoramic camera.
Yeah.
So I was able to take a third of a circle. I also took that same camera to the top of the World Trade Center, and I did 360 degrees of panorama from the top of the World Trade Center in 3D, and I did it in 2001. And I looked at my shots and I said, oh, they're pretty good. It'll always be there. I'll go back. But I didn't.
Have you ever released that as an exhibit piece or anything like that, or is that something that you're?
No, you know what? I've been meaning to work on it. When I was told in the beginning of the summer that I had this show, and I hired an intern for the summer who worked full-time with me, scanning my images to prepare them for digital projection. When I worked with her, we intended to get to my World Trade Center 3D panoramas, and we never did get to it. But we did some of my best work ever. So in there, in the slideshow.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, that was nice. You know, the MI...
So when you photographed that, how did you... the panoramic, but how did you photograph it?
There was a building under construction in Cambridge.
Okay.
And this is Cambridge here, and there's Boston.
Right. So you're sort of
And
near
so
where
I
the
went
Museum
to
of Science is.
the Museum of Science
it's
is
right
right
over
there.
here, yeah.
In fact, I think this is cropped a little, and I think, Museum of Science is maybe even here.
Right.
Maybe it's here, but it's right around here. So I went to the top of the building, and I went to one side and braced the camera on the parapet, took a picture, and then ran over, say, 150 feet to the other end of the building and shot a second picture. And I shot using the highest resolution film. I use a film called Technical Pan Film, developed in a special low contrast developer. So, and the camera was absolutely still. So I got incredible detail beyond what you can see there. I printed this 8 feet wide.
Wow.
and then I framed it. This one isn't level, but I did a level one, 8 feet wide, and I framed it in a circle around you, and you stand in the middle, and it wraps around you in 3D. And I think that one has the Museum of Science in it. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a rollerblader and a roller skater, and I skated along here a lot. I skate this a lot.
Yeah.
And then this show was building interest in 3D, and my friend.
The origin of this. So, I mean, how did you even arrive at, what's that called again, where the dots, and you said
it's a random dot stereogram.
Okay. And where did prior to computers, where did that come from? I mean,
well, the texture is the grain of Tri-X film enlarged.
Yeah.
And the content is my fantasy. I don't know if you noticed, but in here, there's a miniature of the whole thing.
No, I saw that.
You did
no,
see
this
it.
is
Teaching printmaking, photo silkscreen at Cooper Union.
Okay.
And then I started doing 3D, and I started doing this series, and I spent 6 years doing this series. And then towards the end of that,
And this series is sort of all based on like World War II.
Yes, a sort of a fantasy about World War II.
Yeah.
Oh, it's officially till 7, and I bet I'll be here till 8.
Yeah, whatever you
And then I'll collapse.
So, you're in
You
charge.
have your fabulous documentarian here.
Yeah,
And you've got your wireless mic.
I got my wireless mic.
Father used to say, "Okay, Brucey, take over." Cheers.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really pulled together. Very happy.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
I know.
Rocks.
A lot of work. But
But well worth it.
it forced me to do things like my best Kodachromes.
Right.
They needed that work. Now I have them
Exactly.
in digital format.
Well, that's how I see this thing working. You know, we do. Actually, I'm doing next year's show.
Oh.
But we had Kurt Wolski do last year's, Jerry did this year's, and it's a way to I wouldn't call it underhanded, but a very nice way to get someone to prepare a show. You go through this process. You want to do it right.
And have it completely digitized.
Right, yeah, and just do the whole
And
thing.
that's where it's
and
at.
Kurt, he worked
Exactly.
like crazy, and he sold several pieces out of the show.
Gorgeous. Well, I'm sure you'll have people will tap you on the shoulder.
This would be
in the
great
future.
for college galleries too.
Completely.
I think so. I would love to tour.
Yeah, really.
It would
Love to
definitely be a
tour.
Because it's happening now. With all
I
this
would
fancy
love
stuff,
it.
You know, you're right.
If you have ideas of how I could do that,
Sure, yeah, they'll be able to help.
I would
you.
love to
Somebody
do
offer
that.
something.
He's Mr. Idea now. Hey.
Not a problem.
I need to
Now,
go
the
find
College Art Association has a list of 350 graduate MFA programs. in the
Weird.
US.
Oh.
There's your target audience right there.
Yeah.
In fact, we're building a database of that to mail out our
Cool.
DVDs.
Yeah. Wow.
So your work is just beginning.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
This
I've
is
only
the
just
historic-
begun.
This
Yeah,
is
right,
the historical venue. Completely.
No, the timing is perfect.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Right.
I
where
think
it's
so.
at, You know,
Cool.
just showing what's been done, what can be done.
Yeah. Now that Carlton is shooting, I have
We
to
did a
get the
show at
banana out of
Skidmore
the
Gallery,
pictures.
At Saratoga Springs, you could talk.
Good. Let me get rid of the banana. Whoop. What should I have? Oh, maybe I get a Sprite with ice.
Sure. Little ice or too much ice?
A little more.
Okay.
Perfect. Cool, thanks. Oh,
Fantastic show. Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. I'm feeling good. I really worked. I almost overworked.
Well, I heard it's going to be up till Saturday. Or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
Saturday, this will be open from 2 till 8 p.m.
Beautiful. So I can now tell her that
Tell
the
them,
blues
please.
were definitely a book, without a doubt. This was extraordinaire.
Tell them it's good.
Great.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
so great to see Martine too. Fantastic.
Isn't she wonderful? She's been wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is.
Then,
Oh, good. Oh, good. We're getting 3D. Can you really take any 3D pictures in this darkness?
Well, what we need is a narration.
Oh, well, Jerry could provide narration.
oh, okay. Oh, you can shoot the screen as I speak, or you can get us. This is in the year 2000. I built one of those Professor Pofrick's Universe shadow rooms in Beijing, and I built it over a 2-week period. The center weekend of which was like their Revolution Day. So I was in Tiananmen Square on their equivalent of July 4th, which was October 1st. And I walked all around Beijing with my 3D film camera. And then I came home and and these, we rescanned them this summer. And these images that were shot on film are so much better projected digitally. This digital projection is absolutely the best. I just love doing it that way.
So the original film was negative film, or was it?
No, slide film. I shot slide film. I used to be able to actually project slide film. Now this one, remember this image, okay? Remember this image. You keep it clearly in your mind. This is an old sculpture in Beijing, and you're going to see it again later at the end of the slideshow.
On the sand,
On the sand, exactly. Oh, so you saw that already.
Yes, that was at Fort
Yes.
Tilden Beach. I'll give you the
And
address to that.
this is, look, an ancient Chinese wall, and then plus modern wiring, modern bicycle, and a solar panel on top.
I didn't see all that in there. Solar panel on top.
How did they react to you there?
Just like another crazy tourist.
So they accepted it.
Yeah, except one place I went in and they recognized that I had a 3D camera. I found one store that sold 3D cameras.
And what year are we talking?
This is 2000. Beijing is 2000. Okay, so this is the dance project. So Jennifer Monson runs a foundation called iLand Foundation, and they do collaborations involving dancers, generally around the shoreline. And I applied and got a grant, and that's this. And here, Pooh K was here, and Pooh had a company, and turns out that Jennifer Monson, who is now a dance teacher and runs the iLand Foundation, had been a young dancer in Pooh's company.
Isn't this a beautiful photo? That's Sarah White. She led the dancers. She also received the grant with Jerry from the iLand Foundation. Isn't she beautiful?
What's her name?
Sarah White. Am I right?
Yes.
She's the one who gathered together these lovely dancers to dance all along the shoreline in a progression. They worked together beautifully. It couldn't have been choreographed better. It was purely spontaneously, just in tune with each other and the environment.
And when was that?
This was last summer.
August of 2008. It was actually 3 different events on the full moon of July, August, and September 2008. Or was it August, September,
August, September, October.
That's right, on the full moon.
Now, this last group of images is pure digital. For this, I used a pair of digital cameras that were synchronized. And they are owned by the department.
Jerry took this on his roller skates, on his rollerblades, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's often there doing her ballet. I was on rollerblades with my camera, yes. And look at that beautiful dancer, the best. Yes, that's the best. My favorite dancer. And there's that one, and there's the same dragon at the beach. But that's huge. That's like 20 feet long. And this is the last of the digital ones. And I think the day after that, one of the cameras broke, and so I stopped shooting with them. But yay, thanks.
Okay. Did you see the stones yet, Carl?
Good.
Digital, you couldn't superimpose. The film slide was.
Well, I could have done the same superimposition in the computer, but I liked doing it live. It was good.
Because it was part of the live aspect.
Yes, yes, that's right. That it happened in real time. That was beautiful.
So in a funny way, with the computer digitally, you can control it more, but then you're not being spontaneous.
Well said.
So I'm saying
Yes.
congratulations. This is such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. So what's your name?
I'm Russet.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry, Russet. I had a couple of failed recognitions. Of course, Russet.
Anyway, it's a pleasure, and it's really enjoyable.
Oh, thank you so much. Which are?
These were from the film.
Shot on, yes.
Yeah.
Only that last group was shot digitally this summer. This is film.
So I remember last time I was here, Mount Fuji was in the back.
Oh. I misrecognized that the woman who was here is, no, I was just speaking with her. And I asked her name and she said, I'm Russet. I said, oh, of course, right. I'm...
Robert thinks you should call the Pixar people and have them come and look at us.
I think so. Yeah. Okay, you take one of these filters and you hold it in front of one eye and you look at the shadows. You look with both eyes, but you hold the filter in front of one eye. And then you switch the filter to the other eye and you see what changes. And you should look at what direction the shadows are turning. When it's on one eye, and at what direction it's turning. Yes, so it reverses direction.
That's cool. That's really cool. If you switch fast enough, that's playing.
If you do it on both eyes, it's the same as doing it on neither, because you're doing the same time delay to both eyes.
if you switch fast enough, you have actually more than 4 airplanes flying.
To hologram,
Right.
that would be a cool thing to have. But the chance will
Well,
come.
they need a light table and lasers. It's really.
Oh, yeah.
it has to be
Yeah, there's a
stable,
lot.
Right? Yeah. It's a complex process.
Even if it can be done as a send it out thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
That's
like
yeah.
with these, the kids when they've done their major work for the semester, they could spend $300 to output.
Right.
About the department.
They're at a party and their son or daughter wants to go to college or graduate.
Yeah.
And, hey, I was at a show the other night. You know what I mean?
Sure,
That's
sure.
how that works.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that difficult to figure out.
Yes.
But that's the way it works. You know, but you got to get the people moving. You know, get the word of mouth going.
Yeah. School. All the schools that do it.
Would you like to see his high jump video?
Oh, okay, cool.
This is part of his training.
Sorry. Yeah, we just
These are the kind of things
Hi,
that
Cookie.
people shouldn't do. Yes, what people shouldn't do, but the kind of things that become very popular on YouTube because that's very short.
Yes.
And totally insane, and nobody should do it. It has no sound. That's a picture from Finland. From Finland, gold medal. So now he's going to.
jumps off the roof. Oh dear.
You scared?
Yes.
That's it. That's a sprint. It's caught the imagination of 3,000 people in the last week.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
That's it. But you know what's totally nutty? I sent it to you today. This 92-year-old woman in Britain is the hottest thing on the internet. She was a recording artist during the war. Vera Lynn. Her
Yes.
album is #1.
Yes, it's wonderful.
You saw it?
I haven't seen it. I heard about it. I know it. Yeah.
I mean, also, besides the artistic component, just the clarity and the vibrancy.
Yes. This is the absolutely sharpest, clearest 3D that it can be done, you know.
Now, these are meant to be superimposed images?
Yes, what I used to do was run film through the camera multiple times.
Full exposed.
That was my artistic way.
I think you had some of these on exhibit in your studio once. I came down. You had a bunch of gardens and some beautiful Chinese, look like ancient. I don't remember where they were from now. I don't believe they were your images, but you may have turned them into 3D, or you had a guest lecturer there. Some servants on like a tropical island. Does this sound familiar? It was about 2 years ago. I was in your studio. You had a number of things that day. There was a bunch of gardens in Brooklyn.
Oh, yes. Yes. This is the same physical format, right. Now you're seeing, with this music, this is my best roll of film. I call this one Zen roll. So this is like one Zen meditation, and it's one sunset behind Mount Fuji.
This is my cousin coming in here. He's
wow, good.
An optometrist, and he knows
an optometrist. Come in quick, and I'm going to fit you for glasses quickly here. This is my best roll of film. A pleasure.
Scientist, designer, creator, 3D.
Put on your glasses and just enjoy this sequence of film. Good. Gonna run out on you for a sec. Oh, hey. Yes.
Can I see you again?
Yes. This is the one student who was there for that and for that.
There you are.
Yeah.
I tend to return to every once in a while.
Are you a graduate?
Yes, I graduated this spring. Yeah.
My God. They graduated
I
you.
didn't.
Shook hand afterwards.
I'm still sorry for that. You didn't. You didn't.
He was a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't
To
necessarily
have graduated. Cookie.
It's a comeback.
Yeah. Yes.
But I'm going to come back on Saturday to hear.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's totally great. Wow.
I like that little camera that Martina's using.
Yes. Yes, it's a very good one. I had bought that for myself.
Yeah, she
and the book is there. She gave me the book and inscribed it to me. And she came down from Holyoke, from Mount Holyoke,
Wow.
to see it today. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right.
The book is a book that she wrote or one of
That
our
she
works?
wrote, and 3D as well.
You mean everything seemed okay?
I'm going to do that. Yes. Okay, Bruce. Thank you.
But I've really, I've spent a lot more time with you, on this show than I ever have.
You could come.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're glad.
Your orientation.
Oh, that'd be nice. Thank you.
Okay.
We know you're
Here we go. So, at a retrospective, if it were at the Guggenheim and it were ordinary artwork, you could put it in time sequence. But given the room, I had to place things by the technique used for the 3D, and I had to place the different techniques based on the nature of existing lighting systems. So my 3D work starts with this group. So this is a group of red and green 3D art that you look at with the red and green glasses. Yes. So what I did was I created a set of fine art prints. At this time, I was teaching at Cooper Union. And in '73, a friend of mine who was also teaching there, I taught photo silkscreen. And there's your own glasses right here. And I visited Alphonse Schilling's studio and I saw him working with 3D. He taught me about 3D. And I started doing a set of prints. Free computer.
Right, so
this doesn't need any glasses.
Right.
This is no glasses. This I did my previewing by cross-eye, putting the images up on the wall. This I worked with Kodalith film. I was, at the time I was a professor of printmaking. I taught photo silkscreen at Cooper Union and at the New School. And I worked with Kodalith film.
Sure.
I was a maestro of darkroom work.
Wow. That looks great.
So I did this. Now, in the same group, even after my fine art went to other things, I did some sort of commercial projects or semi-commercial projects using that same technique. So, but they're from later years. So, and it's worth understanding the timing. This is '83 when I did it. Well, in this was shot using a Widelux camera, a film camera. So this was done in still photomechanically, the way these were done. Now, '87, I did that t-shirt. In December of '86, I bought my first computer. I bought the best personal computer made, a Mac Plus. And there was Adobe Illustrator. And on that, I did that photo mechanically, but the type, Summer Festival of Fantasy and Science Fiction, I did the type in 3D. Now, this is '92.
Wow.
In '92, I did the 3D of this entirely in Adobe Photoshop, a brand new program. I had even been a beta tester for the thing that preceded Photoshop, but I had bought a Mac 2 CI with the money from the Rolling Stones, from my Stones videos, and I was able. So this was an incredible piece of work. Every little bit of movement, every bit of 3D in this required manipulating in the image, selecting and manipulating in Photoshop. Well, I would move a little thing, it would take a minute or 2 minutes for Photoshop to move it. Now I can do things way faster. Well, you know, it's a different world.
Who's that signature?
Richard Brown was working there. This was the team at MTV Creative Services. And so I was in charge of the 3D, and Scott Wadler, who is, do you know Scott? Scott Wadler came tonight. I hadn't seen him in many, many years. And he was a low-level art director at MTV in '92. So, and I looked him up to invite him. He is now Senior Vice President for Design at MTV Networks. And he came in tonight and he said, working with you on this was like the best experience of his whole job there. So that was very nice. When I was finishing this group, I started shooting. So that we're still in the late 70s. I started shooting with a film-type 3D camera in realist format. I shot Kodachrome. And the best of my Kodachromes are here, in here. And with this, you need to use, these are polarizing glasses. Okay, it's just coming up. I think even sit down and relax into this. And this is my best roll, the best roll that I shot, and it's so, I call this one Zen roll. So you're seeing one sunset behind Mount Fuji, and this is a sextuple exposure. I ran the film through the camera 6 times.
Any significance to 6 or no?
Yes, as in the I Ching. 6 lines makes for a hexagram. Yeah, sure. And this was 1979, June, and the snow on Mount Fuji. We went to Mount Fuji. I had a big show in Tokyo of that set of prints that you saw, the first set of prints you saw. And while I was there, I was a visiting lecturer at an art school, at a big art school outside of Tokyo. And I made friends there. And that's the group that took me to Mount Fuji and then to Lake Hakone, where the sun sets behind Mount Fuji. And that's when I shot this roll. Here you go. Have different glasses. And 2 years ago, I projected these same slides using a film projector with this music, and people loved it, and I wanted to do it more. But projecting from the original film offered so many little problems of alignment and focus. And so since I've been teaching for Bruce, he was ready finally a little over a year ago to spend some money on 3D, to commit to me, so to speak. And so we dropped about $5,000 on this rolling cart. I designed it, specified it. So there's a powerful Mac laptop in there that running both PC and Mac software. And then there's two like $2,500 projectors with polarizing filters. And so we're able to project the best professional kind of 3D onto a silver screen.
Now, when you were originally showing your Kodachrome slides, two projectors, still both exposures through the camera twice, and so would you overlap two slides?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing. It was like a double projector, is what we had. But this digital projection is so much better. Yeah. It's a lot of work. What I did this summer is I found a great, an undergraduate going into her senior year here, and I hired her for the entire summer, and after July 4th weekend, from then on we worked full time all summer long. I missed a lot of summer fun, but we scanned my best film type of stuff, and then I really reworked it in Photoshop. Built the first shadow room like this there. And the idea of this is you have these filters. You put the filter in front of one eye. You're looking with both eyes. Both eyes are open. Filter is in front of one of your eyes, and you look at the shadows. And then you move the filter to your other eye and think about what direction things are turning.
That's very good.
And so I built the first room like this in '77 at the Exploratorium. Then in '86, I did one of these at the IBM Gallery in New York, then at the New York Hall of Science. And then in '89, I was about to leave to install one of these in Tokyo, at a big museum in Tokyo. And as I was leaving, I got a call from the Rolling Stones. And they had a new tour coming up, wanted to do 3D video. And so I shot video of my installation, which is you're seeing there, and that was a demo that I showed to Mick Jagger. And so what you're seeing there is precisely what Mick saw in '89, and he really liked it, and I was hired. And at that point I had taught 20 years of Cooper Union printmaking. I was ready to be done. My art had moved elsewhere, and there was some politics there I didn't like, and it's so easy to understand.
What was the year for that?
'89, and took a leave of absence from that, never went back, and I spent a year with the Stones directing the Stones videos. You're still seeing the demo video that I showed Mick. The demo will be over in a minute, and then it'll go into the actual Rolling Stones videos. You could take these same filters, just hold it in front of your right eye and watch this video with this over your right eye.
What is this filter?
It's just a neutral density filter. It's not polarizing. The polarizing filters are inside. That you were looking with polarizing filters.
I've never seen that physiological
Effect.
Yeah.
It's called the Pulfric effect. Yes, because there was a German optical physicist named Carl Pulfric who in 1927, I think, figured it out. And this installation is always called Professor Pulfric's Universe. So I've installed variations on this installation at many museums over the years. And now we finished the demo and it's going into the Rolling Stones. And I want you to know that this effect that opens the Rolling Stones videos, that's the same satellite dish down here. So I built that in order to create that effect. And then I kept it as a souvenir, and I put it into this installation.
Very nice.
This is the song 2,000 Light Years from Home, which was from their Satanic Majesty's Request
Yeah, I'm very
album.
familiar with the album. I've never seen this video. Sad to say.
Oh, few have. It was broadcast on Fox. It was a primetime special on Fox, but it didn't have any continual play.
Right. And pre-MTV, all that stuff.
And these special effects I built in my studio. I live and work on 26th Street, so I walk to work. So this was also my escape from college art teaching. And I stayed escaped for a while, and then 7 years ago, there was Trilby Schreiber had a birthday party. And at the birthday party, I was chatting with Bruce. We were drinking and chatting. And I said, oh, what do you do? What's your department? And he said, well, we like to have people teach what they like. And I said, I'd like 3D, stereoscopic 3D. I'd like to teach stereoscopic 3D. And so I've done it here for 7 years for him. And he's, and the main reward is he's been very sweet and supportive, and we've set up the stuff.
I'm surprised at the depth you achieve with this density technique. It's interesting. Very effective.
It's a great 3D effect.
Yeah.
This is not 2 cameras. I mean, there were many cameras on the shoot, but they weren't working. This isn't pairs. This is all in the choreography.
Where was the performance recorded?
Well, you're seeing a composite of a few things. Here's the story. In December '89, we shot and recorded them in Montreal. And I had enough footage to edit one of my 3 videos. And I needed close-ups. We just didn't have enough close-up shots. And in early February of '90, they were playing at the Tokyo Dome. And I took a Steadicam operator and his assistant with me, flew over to Tokyo, and shot close-ups in Tokyo.
So the 360 is the cinematographer, literally the Steadicam operator.
The Steadicam
walking
operator
around.
moving
That's
around,
good.
yes.
That's good. That was great.
Look at Keith.
Yeah.
Keith is drunk out of his mind.
Yeah.
It's only rock and roll, but I like it.
That's amazing. It is. That's great.
Cool. And then I worked with a band called Skid Row, did a video, and then I extracted frames from the video and made this lenticular, like a CD cover proposal on that. And then last summer, I had a grant from the iLand Foundation to do an art with dance at the beach. They sponsor projects combining sort of eco art and dance. So I worked with this dancer and an archaeologist, and I shot with a 4-lens camera. And this computer screen, we actually got this company that makes these to donate it to our department. And we have a couple of them. And there are better screens like this now, but you have to buy them. And this is a computer-generated hologram. I did this in '87, and as it was done on a VAX computer, I remember asking them, I said, wow, that's powerful computer. How much memory does it have? And they said, 90 megabytes. And I did this for the New York Hall of Science, and I had helped the MIT Media Lab to get started. Steve Benton, Dr. Stephen Benton, holographer, was one of the founders of the Media Lab, and he had a show up at MIT of 3D imaging, and I provided some stuff for it, and they raised money, and then they built a big fancy building.
Yeah, that's great.
And you know, the stuff, the Boston thing there was related to it. So then he brought me in as an artist in residence at the Media Lab.
That's great.
So, and this was my concept of how light can exist as both a wave and a particle. And I also designed and built this structure for it, which is nice. And let's see. Oh, we're almost getting through the show here. I'm getting you through, yes. And you know what? Carlton was hoping that I would get a little group of people and that would get me turned on to talk about it all. And it looked like everyone was gone and the energy was winding down. But you've got me going, yes. You really got me going. This, I took frames from the video for the band Skid Row. You can move it, yeah. And this, I had created this background scene. It's 12 separate views. And I created it for the Warner store on Fifth Avenue. It was for an environment for them. And I created that entirely in Photoshop. So this is just a very fancy Photoshop work with 12 separate views for everything. Created it in Photoshop. So from the first time I used Photoshop there for 3D to this, I really...
I'm in love with that piece. The idea of having
oh,
it flat.
thank you.
It's just the way it's been displayed and the way you interact with it and change the perspective.
It's such a good piece. I don't know if I said it in front of you, but that the art director of that, Scott Wadler, came tonight. He was here, and he was, you know, like an associate art director, was a young art director at MTV Networks when we did that. And I had to look him up again to find him, to invite him, and then he came tonight. And his job title now is Senior Vice President for Design, MTV Networks. But standing here looking at that image, he said, that was my best project ever. When I told someone came along And I said he was like an associate art director then, and now I just said he's the top art. I didn't want to say senior vice president for design. I said he's like their top art director. And he said, well, it's because of that project. We really worked hard, and considering that it was done in Photoshop 2.5, right, I think, on a Mac 2 CI, it was 10 intense days. I had a really good assistant. You know what was a lot of the work? Making the selections. We had a drawing, you make a selection, and you couldn't save selections so easily then.
No layers.
And they would crash. Oh, no layers. I remember when layers came along, and then this one, it isn't even, it's barely a documented edition. In the 1990s, these became very popular. I invented how to do this in Photoshop.
Oh, really?
And I so much wanted layers. Photoshop didn't have layers then, and I knew I wanted them. Give me layers. Please, I want layers. And now not only am I a maniac for layers, but then adjustment layers came along, and I'm like it's because it has to do with commitment. With that early stuff, it was all commitment.
Stay up till you made up your mind.
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I really appreciate your for staying
okay.
so late. No, we were just leaving, and we decided we'd try to catch you.
You did the right thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A pleasure. Thanks.
No, I'll send more students. I'll send more students over.
Well, the last chance is for Saturday.
All right, good.
You could send them tomorrow in the day by request with Charlie, or you can. There's that last opening. The closing opening on Saturday.
That's great.
Cool.
Congratulations. Really
All right.
Really
Many thanks.
Appreciate your time very much.
Good. And we did it. And I did the energetic presentation for Carlton.
We appreciate it all.
Oh, look, is this new people coming in? Oh my God, at 10 to 8. Well.
I know Martin was your girlfriend. She's amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah.
She's an amazing, pure energy. And
Cool.
you're so good. You're amazing too.
Thank you.
You guys are a good match.
Yeah, we're a good match.
That's good.
Cool.
I heard about your other pain body video. What's that about?
Oh.
We were just talking about an author that I love, Power Now.
You're talking about Björk.
No, I don't know about Björk. Oh yeah, she was talking about Björk. I'm sorry.
The pain body.
The pain body thing, yeah.
Okay. I didn't make that video. I just helped some of the people involved with it, and there were showings of that video in my studio.
I'm so sorry. I have to take this. I'll be right back.
Because you described everything.
Yes. Oh, okay. Good. So these two are images that are that are popular in science museums, and these offer a wonderful possibility. You can view them with the glasses correctly, but you can also take the glasses and turn them backwards, and the whole images turn backwards, inside out, within them. And
how are you involved in this?
This random dot stereogram, I created the image complete.
From scratch?
From scratch. I generated the texture, and then using Adobe Photoshop, I drew, I created a depth map of the shape, and then used Photoshop's displace command to bring.
Now, what instruction manual did you get that idea from?
It was either this one or that one or this one.
So it's an original.
It's an original, yeah. It's just something I made up.
And the moon?
And now the moon, this is an antique pair of images of the moon. It was known even before the invention of photography in the mid-1800s. It was known that if you had two photos of the moon taken months apart, that they could be a stereo pair. And then as soon as photography was possible, through the telescope, they made pairs of images of the moon. But they couldn't really align them precisely. So with this, I took two images of the moon from the 1860s, scanned them at very high resolution, and was able to precision align them, again using wonderful, amazing Adobe Photoshop. Great.
And they were taken from original 1850 photos.
I think these were around 1860 something. I'd have to look up.
Pre-NASA.
Oh, pre. They were taken using what they called a silvered glass telescope, meaning using an early reflector telescope.
So we're looking at a moon 150 years ago. But
that's correct. That is correct. 150 years ago, that was what the moon looked like. And it pretty much looks the same right now. But I like that I was able to take images that were never really precisely aligned, and was able to super align them.
You kind of completed what they conceived.
I completed what they were trying to do. Now, when the astronauts went to the moon, they took stereo photos, and they took them by an interesting crude technique. They had cameras mounted on the chests of their spacesuits. And they were taught a technique called a cha-cha, where you stand to one side and take a picture, and then stand to the other side and take a picture. So the camera moves. But they were wearing bulky spacesuits in light gravity, 1/6 of the Earth's gravity, and so their cameras didn't align very well. And one of my favorite things to do is to take images that the astronauts shot then, and then precision realign them using the computer.
Fascinating.
Yes.
So in both cases, they had the concept, but they didn't have the techniques or the technology.
That's right. That's right.
And now we do.
And now computers do amazing things.
And this was purely generated. Totally.
This I generated, but also there are two, this is a random dot stereogram. There are two random dot stereograms in this show. And that one I created first. So here is the first, and this was a full summer's work. Maybe it was 6 weeks of intense work to create this photomechanically. And it was I felt, oh, what a huge achievement I had done to do this. And so this was maybe 1974. It could be 75. I think it was 1974 in the summer. And then
what did you start with on that?
Well, for this, I started with the grain of Tri-X film. All of that texture is the grain of Tri-X film. But then, years later, I don't have a precise date that I did that. Maybe it was 1993. About 1993, I was able to do that in maybe 2 hours. The texture I generated using the computer, And then the creating of the random dot stereogram, I did in the 2 hours.
So it was a strange deja vu feeling?
It was a strange deja vu, yes. Yes.
And we're talking weeks of work.
Yes, 6 weeks of work versus 2 hours of work. Yes. Yes.
And 20 years difference.
Just about 20 years, yes. Yes. Computers were nothing when I first did it. They were not usable for art yet. And when I did that, I had a Mac II CI, and it wasn't very powerful, but it was powerful enough.
And the final piece,
Oh, yes. It's a beautiful story. Sometime in the 1970s, I heard that a photo studio was going out of business out in Ozone Park. And I took the train out to Ozone Park, and under the elevator tracks, there was this old photo studio called Hollywood Photo Studios, run by a man named David German, who was going to sell everything and retire to Florida. And I bought some beautiful metal cabinets designed to hold stereoscopic 3D slides. And I took them home, and it was great fun. And I saw there were all kinds of slides in the cabinets. And I figured I would just throw them out and have the cabinets. But I discovered that the slides were outtakes from many different 1950s weddings, and that they were beautiful. And then in around 1996, I had to look at the date. 1996, I was invited to be in a show at the Alternative Museum in Soho. And I came up with the idea of pulling out the best of those slides, and we scanned them. I had an assistant. We scanned them all, made them into anaglyphs so they could be printed. And one of the slides had a TV in it. So I had a huge, this is an inkjet print. This is a very fine inkjet print, an iris print. I had this made and mounted on foam, and we cut a hole where the TV was, and I put a computer screen behind and had all the, a slideshow in the TV.
So you had fun with it?
We had fun. It was a fun thing.
I got to change tape, or change up.
No, I'm going to go back to Carlton, but in this case it was 6 times. Sometimes. So, as I pointed out, these were made as a set of fine art prints from between 1973 and 1979. And then my fine artwork went in other directions. I built the 3D shadow room. I did that 3D photography. But over the next few years, I also had some opportunities to do some sort of semi-commercial projects that used the same kind of red-green anaglyph. And the first one was 1973, when I created this poster. Now this I shot using a camera called a Widelux that shoots very wide panoramic images. And this I did purely photomechanically, just as I had done the earlier prints photomechanically. Then, 1987, I did this t-shirt for Film Forum's Summer Festival of Fantasy and Science Fiction. And most of the t-shirt I did using the same photomechanical methods. Built a model of the spaceship, photographed it stereoscopically, did darkroom work, did graphic design. But in December of 1986, I had bought for myself my first computer, the best, most powerful personal computer made, the Mac Plus, with 1 megabyte of memory, 1 entire megabyte of memory. And I was able, there was a program I had called Adobe Illustrator. And using Adobe Illustrator, I was able to create the type in 3D for the words Summer Festival of Fantasy and Science Fiction. And so that was the first time that I used a computer to do the graphics work.
So that was really high tech at the time.
Super high tech. Then I did the Rolling Stones videos, 89 and 90, and one of the benefits was I received some nice checks from them, and in December of 89, I bought a Mac II CI computer with 4 megabytes of memory to start with, and I had that for a few years, and then in 1992 I got to collaborate with a group from MTV Creative Services to do this poster, and for the first time I did all of the 3D using the computer.
No photomechanical.
No photomechanical. Finally, in the end, we output from the computer because mechanicals had to be made, but the artwork for the right and left eyes, the changes were done in this new program, Adobe Photoshop. Amazing. We would make a selection and then have to wait 2 minutes to preview, and then have to undo, and then do it again, and then the computer would crash. It was very crash, it would freeze up, very crash prone. But in 10 days of intense work with an assistant, I was able to produce the 3D for this.
It must have been exciting.
It was very exciting. And this was a folded poster that was trimmed like very tightly here, but we also took a few off press that wouldn't get trimmed or folded, and everyone who worked on it signed their name, and we had a party. We went out to dinner together.
So you knew this was like the cutting edge, this is the new world.
I knew it was special, yes. Yes, I did.
And no photo mechanicals.
No, this was done within the computer.